Have you ever read a sentence that just completely changed how you see the world? Those ideas that do more than create an impression. They open a window, and sometimes they even reveal a mirror. The sky above the port was the color of television, tuned to a dead channel. The year was 2010. I was in college, and there was a special event at my university. It was a guest talk about where our world was heading in the future, and it gathered together hundreds of students who were interested in technology, daydreaming, and naturally, science fiction. It was around that time that someone recommended a book to me. They told me it would blow my mind. So I got the book, and I read the first line. When I read that sentence, I immediately knew it was special. And it did blow my mind. It really did change how I see things. Not all at once, but in that slow, echoing way certain ideas do, where you keep coming back to them years later, only to find they've taken root in how you see the world. No exaggeration. This is about how a single sentence can contain a universe. One line that, like a pinhole camera, captures technology, storytelling, psychology, even the passage of time itself. It's the opening line of Neuromancer by William Gibson, a novel that defined a genre and in many ways anticipated our future. And what's remarkable is not just what this sentence means, but how its meaning has evolved. Because like all powerful art, it adapts with us. And this line, this strange, evocative sentence, has changed shape at least 3 ways in my lifetime. The sky above the port is the color of television tuned to a dead channel. In the 1980s, a dead channel was static, a ghostly gray shimmer, alive with nothing. To describe the sky this way is to transpose the natural through the technological. You don't just imagine a gray sky, you filter it through the flickering emptiness of a machine. Already this tells you something profound. This is a world where technology mediates experience, where the natural world becomes grounded through the metaphors of media. It's a subtle but radical shift, a recalibration of perception that mirrors our own digital entanglements. And if you haven't realized this yet, it's worth pointing out, Gibson wrote this before the public internet, before broadband, smartphones, social feeds, before we tuned our brains, our moods, our social lives to devices, before scrolling became the start and end of our day. He foresaw the feeling of living in a world that's always connected, and somehow still disconnected. The sky above the port was the color of television tuned to a dead channel. This opening sets quite the tone, and it conditions your brain. It doesn't say, "Welcome to a futuristic world." It says, "This is already how you see." Think about it. Gibson could have written, "The sky was gray," or "Storm clouds were gathering." Literal, natural descriptions. But instead, he makes you picture the sky by thinking about TV. Not a television, just television. You literally cannot visualize this scene without going through television first. Your brain has to process the natural world through a technological reference point. And you didn't even notice it happening. Just like Case, the protagonist of the book. He spends so much time in cyberspace, he can barely feel reality unless it's refracted through tech. He's a burned-out hacker, living on the margins of a neon-drenched future, chasing a high he can only find in the virtual. In many ways, he is the first truly digital protagonist. This is the genius of Gibson. He doesn't tell you what Case feels, he makes you feel it. And all of it starts with that one line. The sky above the port was the color of television tuned to a dead channel. But then something changed. Many things changed. Technology changed, television changed, By the time I was a teenager in the 2000s, we were well on our way into the full digification of technology from the analog past. The signals we used to transfer what we see on screens were changing. A dead channel was no longer always static. Interestingly, it was often just blue. Flat, blank, numbing. So in those years, that line, "the color of television tuned to a dead channel," didn't mean noise anymore. It meant absence. Silence. A kind of vacuumed space, and I realized, thinking about that visual perspective shift, that the sentence hadn't lost meaning, it had transformed. It was still the same sky, but it was a different kind of death, replacing chaos with sterility, crackling with quiet. And what about now? When we say dead channel, it means something else entirely. To a creator in the digital age, a dead channel is a source of anxiety and fear. It is existential. It is invisibility, obsolescence. It is posting into the void, being online, but not seen, forgotten. You can almost picture it. The glowing colors, the moving images, neon, bright, and yet nobody is watching. Everyone is preoccupied, focused on a world below, or the world in their hands, on their screens. A million messages in a bottle, lost in the sea of media, shifting, tumbling into the web's depths, while we bounce from sparkle to clap, our eyes glued to whatever seems to be the loudest or brightest thing in front of us at that moment. The color of television tuned to a dead channel. This line, originally written in 1984, now carries the ghost of something deeply modern, the fear of irrelevance in an algorithmic world. And once again, it's perfect. The metaphor lives. The sky is still Gibson's, but now it glows with a quiet kaleidoscope of abandonment, of oblivion. This fusion of language and technology has deep roots. Media theorist Neil Postman argued that every technology comes with its own built-in philosophy, one that shapes what we do and how we think. He wrote that each new medium makes people use their minds in a certain way, codifies the world, amplifies particular senses. In other words, technology doesn't just give us new tools, it gives us new ways of seeing, speaking, and understanding. But in the book Technopoly, Postman goes even further. He explains how tools evolve into metaphors, and metaphors into worldviews. Take the mechanical clock, for instance. It measures time, yes, but it also changed what time meant. Suddenly, hours and minutes became containers for productivity. Our work, our rest, even our sense of morality began to sync with the ticking of gears. Clocks go way back, but the idea is clear. The dominant technologies of an era become the scaffolding for our language and for our minds. When we speak like this, we reveal how deeply the machine has merged with the metaphor. Just think about the words we use to describe ourselves today. We say things like, "I need to recharge," "They're giving me mixed signals," "We're on the same wavelengths." These are deeply digital expressions, ways of describing our inner lives using the language of modern technology. We even view our identities through the lens of tech and media. When writing Neuromancer, Gibson knew this well, and he's able to use this technological poetry to his advantage, pulling you into his future world that is so much like our modern one. When Neuromancer hit the shelves in 1984, it was apparently a slow burn. In a world just beginning to grapple with computers as personal tools, Gibson imagined a society already fully wired in, a digital unconscious. But this world was so alien to the 1980s that it didn't resonate strongly at first. That being said, as word of mouth in sci-fi circles spread, the book gained more and more critical acclaim. Being ahead of its time and piercingly innovative, the novel won the science fiction Triple Crown of awards, the Hugo, Nebula, and Philip K. Dick Awards, and redefined what speculative fiction could look like. Gibson was aware of what he tapped into, saying years later,
"When people write imaginary futures, they're never about the future. They are they can only be about the moment in which they were written.
That's what makes this line in this world so potent. It wasn't just a prediction. It was a mirror, held just a little ahead of us. The sky above the port was the color of television, tuned to a dead channel. Within that line, each generation sees something different, but each generation has the chance to feel the same chilling, eye-opening realization that we're not just human anymore. We're becoming the technology we create. This is why I believe it's one of the greatest opening lines of all time. It pulls you into its world, because the prose lives and evolves depending on when and where you read it. You feel the story before you even started on the journey. The opening sentence grows and adapts, and like the very technology it describes, it updates in real time. That's incredible writing, prophetic even, grounded in a metaphor strong enough to remain relevant for almost half a century, demonstrating Gibson's masterful understanding of one of the most powerful ancient technologies we possess. Words. Gibson's vision became the blueprint for cyberpunk. He elevated a genre where machines shape thought, and identity is filtered through interface. Books like Snow Crash, games like Cyberpunk 2077, and movies like The Matrix. The fusion of our technology with our landscape, our body and mind. Neo-techno-infused, corporate-backed gray skylines. All of these works add to the genre, but Neuromancer stands alone with that introduction of the sky. A sky that is more than weather. It's a signal, or lack of it. A dark vision, but a truthful one. So the next time you stumble on a dead channel, whatever that means when you watch this, ask yourself, what color is the sky above you? And how many layers of technology are you seeing it through? Look up. The sky hasn't changed. We have. What line changed your world? Let me know below. I will read them all. And if you're drawn to this space where the stories meet reality and where technology becomes mythology, subscribe. My name is Michael. See you next time.